Hey guys! So today we're going to talk about Bridgerton v Bridgerton Season 2. I just finished reading the book, and let me tell you, while I enjoyed the show, and I thought that Season 2 was done very well, Book 2, way better. I don't know why they cut these storylines out, and I don't know why they literally changed almost the whole story. It just kind of struck me as a little bit weird. Let me explain. First word, thunderstorms. Thunderstorms actually play a really big role in this whole story for Kate specifically. And instead of making that like a thing, they kind of ignore her fear. Like in the book, she is so afraid of thunderstorms. Anthony finds her under a table in the library. And her fear of thunderstorms is related to something that happened in her past, and we'll get into that later. Because her past is ever, like her mom is never actually addressed at all in the show, at all. It's admitted that Mary is her stepmom, but it's never addressed as to what actually happened to her real mom. And I feel like it's a layer of her character that we kind of lose out on. And don't get me wrong, I love the girl they picked to play Kate. Like, she was perfect. First time I saw her on screen, my very first thought was, riding on that horse across the field, oh, that girl's awesome. Like, she looks amazing. And I really wish that they had used the storyline in the book, because I really do feel like she could have done well with that storyline. I feel like they were sold short. I feel like both her and Edwina's characters were sold short because of what they chose to do with the characters in the show versus in the book. They changed Anthony's character just a little bit. He does have a fear of death, but it's explained differently in the book. In the book, Anthony does not witness his father's death. He doesn't see it. He's not there. In the show, he is. He actually is with his father when he dies, when the bee stings him and he dies. And so Anthony has this, explainable fear of bees. And I don't know if in the show they thought that it wouldn't be as impactful if Anthony, didn't get to be there for it. But in the book, he's not there. He comes home. Daphne's crying in the hall, and that's when she tells him, and he runs upstairs, and that's when he, sees his father's lifeless body, and he doesn't understand because his dad has been stung by a bee before, and so it doesn't make sense to him, and he sits up all night with his dad, and what's also not explained is that his dad is a great father, a great man, and in his mind, no one is better than his dad, and so he's never going to be better than his dad, which to him means he won't outlive his dad. So he's basically resigned himself to dying in his 30s. Like, he's pretty sure he's going to die before his 38th or 39th birthday, because his dad only lived to 38, and so that's what he thinks is going to happen. So when he decides at 30 or 29, he's either 29 or 30, to have to get married, it's because he feels obligated to continue the family line, and that it's something he's supposed to do. And he realizes in his mind that his future wife is going to be raising his children by herself, because he's going to be dead. That's literally his thought process, which is why he has decided not to fall in love with whoever he chooses. Because in his mind, he's decided that love complicates things. It'll make it harder when he dies. It'll make it harder on him. It'll make it harder on her. Complicates things. In the show, he pursues Edwina, and he pursues Edwina pretty hard. He really follows through on his pursuit of Edwina in the show. In the book, that's not the case. He chooses her originally because she is, what he's looking for in a wife. She's educated and pretty and proper, but the one he can't get out of his mind is her sister Kate. And Edwina and Kate, in the book, Edwina and Kate waited and came out at the same time, because they did not have the money for more than one season. So, and Kate has already resigned herself to the idea that, oh, well, she's not going to find a husband. Her goal is to find Edwina a husband, so that Edwina is cared for. And Kate is used to Edwina's cast-offs and used to people talking to her because of her sister. And so it's refreshing when the Duke, and Colin is such an instigator. she already has a bad opinion of the Duke. She's been reading Lady Whistledown's papers, and they basically describe the Duke as a rogue and a rake, and he's, you know, the worst kind of Duke, and she doesn't want that for her sister. And so she straight up tells Colin when she meets him at one of the parties that she doesn't want him anywhere near her sister. And Colin thinks this is hilarious because Anthony has already decided and announced that he's going to pursue Edwina. And so, of course, Colin has to take her over to meet Anthony, and they spar. Their verbal bantering is just hilarious. But it's one of those things where the tension kind of builds, and they're aware of each other. Like, there's this attraction between them that they just, neither one of them can seem to get away from. And it's like she walks into the room and she knows where he is when she walks into the room, and without even having to look. And he can sense when she's there. And there's a party at the Bridgerton house, and she ends up hiding in his office, not realizing it was his office because she was just so down and dejected, and she didn't want him to see her like that. And he ends up discovering her under his desk, having to shoo the Italian singer out before pulling her out, and then he kisses her, and it really embarrasses her, and he's kind of shocked at what he did because he's not used, you know, he doesn't quite understand what he feels, but he realizes that he does have strong feelings about her, and that could pose a problem. Whereas when he looks at Edwina, he sees, oh, she's got a pretty face, she's actually described as beautiful, but he feels no desire for her. And so again, he reiterates to himself that she's the best option for him. Again, there's no Queen Charlotte. In the show, Charlotte makes, you know, a regular appearance. She's a very prominent figure in the parties and the balls and things, and she's not in the books at all. She's not a character at all in the books. She's extra in the show. I feel like in the show, she adds a little extra intrigue, especially in trying to hunt down Lady Whistledown. Again, they have not revealed yet in this book who Lady Whistledown is. Per the show, we already know. Also, the Featheringtons, I know I mentioned this before, none of the girls are married yet. Penelope, actually, and I wish they had kept this in the book, or in the TV show, it actually kind of gave Anthony a dashing hero side. Penelope's being picked on by Crescenda. I guess the season prior, she was chubbier than this current season, where she is, she says she's lost about 20 pounds. And Crescenda, and it's not Penelope's fault, her mother dresses her in awful clothes. And Crescenda starts picking on her about the way she looks. And Anthony walks over, talks to Kate, talks to Penelope, and then offers to escort Penelope into dinner. And Crescenda is absolutely shocked, because why would he be talking to Penelope in the first place? And it warms him up to Kate a little bit, because in her mind, that's a hero thing to do. Like, that's so sweet. And this is Anthony Bridgerton we're talking about. Like, he's not supposed to be a hero. So then comes the catastrophe. This never happens in the book. Like, and I hate, or in the show, I hate the way the show does Kate and Edwina. Towards the end, they literally pit them against each other. They get Edwina all the way to marrying Anthony before it's revealed that Anthony and Kate care for each other and have been together. And it almost shatters Kate and Edwina's relationship. And that frustrates me, because I feel like there's drama where there doesn't need to be, and they make Edwina out to be dumber than she actually is. In the book, Edwina is smart as a whip. In fact, she notices that Kate and Anthony have a thing going on before they even notice it. And I wish that they had had that smart, sassy Edwina in the show, and not this quiet, meek girl who just kind of like, who believes after a week with Anthony Bridgerton that she could possibly be in love with him. Like, it was super weird the way they played it out. They did have a game of Pall Mall in the show. I thought the game in the book was a lot funnier. They tried to create in the show alone time for Anthony and Kate to be alone and like verbally spar with each other. And I just thought the book did it better, because just the way she literally picked on him. And they explained the mallets in the game a little bit better too. Simon's in the book. He's not in the show. I know that's because of the actor. I would have loved to have seen him come back for the show for the few scenes that Simon's in, but it was nice to see him and Daphne's relationship blossom in the book, and how they are together, how they appear to other people outside from what we have seen inside their relationship. And then you have the bee sting. So in the show, Kate gets stung by a bee, Anthony freaks out, says she's gonna die, and Kate keeps trying to explain to him that she's not, and it's kind of, that's when he reveals like what happened to his father. In the book, that is the event that changes everything. She ends up getting stung, and right on her chest, so like right here above her boob, right? And Anthony starts to like squeeze the venom out. I didn't realize bees had venom. I'm not quite exactly sure what he thought he was doing, but he starts to squeeze the venom out. He keeps telling her she's going to die, and then he sucks it out. They get caught. They get caught by Mary, Lady Bridgerton, and Mrs. Featherington. And because Mrs. Featherington is there, there is nothing they can do. He has to marry Kate. And I love this so much better than the way the show did it. He doesn't have a choice. It's an honorable thing. Either he ruins her reputation or he marries her. So, all right, we're going to get married next week. And Kate is feeling a lot of emotions. She's attracted to Anthony Bridgerton. She had hoped that he would be for Edwina. And then Edwina basically tells her, oh no, I already knew I didn't have a shot. Like, I know for a fact that he was interested in you. And she's like, well, why didn't anybody tell me? He comes to call the day before the wedding, or the 2 days before the wedding, and basically tells her that this is not a love match, and that they are getting married. And they can enjoy each other's company and have a friendship, but he is not going to fall in love with her. And it kind of throws her off, because she had always kind of hoped that, you know, if she was going to get married, it would be for a love match. And so she's kind of thrown off by it, but she decides that it's not a big deal. She's not going to fall in love with Anthony Bridgerton, and then she does. And it boils down to kind of they get closer. The thunderstorm thing comes back, and she actually ends up talking in her sleep. And the way that Anthony describes it, she sounds like a young child when she's talking in her sleep and saying, no, mama, don't go, no, mama. So they go to Mary and ask Mary, what's up with this? You know, why is she having nightmares? And Mary said, oh, I thought they had stopped. And Kate said, no, I just hid them from everybody because I thought I needed to be strong. And Mary was like, you didn't have to do that. And then basically tells her her mother died during a thunderstorm. Her mother got sick from like a lung thing, probably consumption, got sick and was dying. And Kate managed to get into the room to get to her mom, and a loud thunder boomed. Her mom sat straight up. It freaked Kate out, screaming, yelling, and then her mom died. And so that's why thunderstorms scare her, because her mom died during a thunderstorm. And so that just brings back those repressed memories that she had repressed. And Mary apologized that her father had thought that Kate had forgotten it, because by the time she had recovered, because she had also gotten sick, but not as badly, by the time she had recovered, she didn't want to talk about it. She refused to talk about it. And I mean, she'd only been 3, so there really wasn't a whole lot that she could say at the time. But then as she got older, she still refused to talk about it, and he figured that she didn't remember, and so it was okay for him to just let it go. And it took a weight off of her shoulders, and it explained why she felt the way she did. And so her and Anthony, you know, they go back to their house, and there is definitely desire between them. Their sex life is very good. But Anthony is starting to realize that he feels something for her, and it bothers him, because he's not supposed to feel anything for her, right? And so she manages to say the fateful words that he never wanted to hear, which was, I love you. And he freaks out. I mean, they just got done having sex. He gets dressed, and he's like tripping over himself, and he runs out, right? And he ends up at Bridgerton House, and Eloise sends her a note letting her know where he is. And so she goes to talk to him, and he basically tells her that, that he needs time. He doesn't, you know, he has to work out his own feelings, and she wants to know what's wrong, why he's acting the way he's acting, and he just keeps begging her for time. And so she finally leaves. He ends up at White's, which is the club that he and his brothers go to, and basically Anthony and Benedict tell him that he's a complete idiot. Or not Anthony, Colin. Colin and Benedict tell Anthony that he's an idiot. And that's when he has like this epiphany, and he's like, I love her. And Colin's like, yeah. And Benedict goes, that's what we've been trying to tell you, dummy. And so he goes back to the house looking for her. Well, she's not there. Edwina has a suitor, a Mr. Bagwell, who actually is a scholar, which is what Edwina had said originally that she wanted in the first place, and she really likes him. And so he had come up from Oxford to visit, and they got on a carriage ride. So he goes back to the, gets his horse and goes down to the park to see them and try to catch up with Kate. And their carriage comes careening around the corner, and it's out of control, and he can hear Nelson, her dog, barking, and heart in his throat as he watches that carriage just tumble over. And he freaks out, right? And he gets over there, and Mr. Bagwell got thrown free. He's fine. Edwina's fine, but she can't get Kate out. And so he goes around to the other side, and he has to dig Kate out, and she's got a broken leg, and he calls like 3 surgeons to get her fixed, and he tells her he loves her. And she goes, well, perfect timing. And he was like, well, if I hadn't have waited till now, then I wouldn't have been here to pull you out when you crashed. And just, trying to talk and keep her going, right? And when they finally get a chance to talk about it after she is, all casted up and laying in bed, he explains that basically what it boils down to is what happened to his dad, and it made him believe that he was never going to live past his dad because his dad was such a great man, he could never outlive him. And she told him that she understood the way he felt, but that was a silly notion, and basically told him that he was basing his whole life off of this superstition, and that together they could work through it together, which I thought was really sweet. We get 2 epilogues. There's 2 epilogues in these books. I like the second epilogue, which gives you a fast forward to 15 years in the future. They're doing their annual game of Pall Mall because it's become a thing. But getting the Mallet of Death, the Black Mallet, also has become a thing. And it's like a whole game, like a month before, where Anthony took it and then she went and stole it from his office. And then Colin somehow got into the house and got the maid to tell him where it was. And he stole it. And it was too much, way too much fun. It was hilarious. And while the show was good, and I understand, I just felt like it developed way too much tension between the sisters when there didn't need to be. Kate does get in an accident in the show, and it's actually what propels Anthony to realize that he loves her and wants to be with her. She ends up being unconscious for like 3 days or something, and it's what makes him finally admit his feelings. But they spend the whole show focusing on that, and I preferred the way the book did it. The getting caught, in the compromising position, and the wedding, and then them having to deal with it being a couple together. And so it's not like he can just up and walk away if he feels like it, whereas in the book in the show, he could do that. He could just up and walk away if he felt like it. There was no strings attached yet. And so the show's not bad. It's good. And if you only watch the show and you don't read the books, you're definitely going to be like, oh yeah, the show is great. I'm really enjoying the characters. I mean, I am really enjoying the characters. I just really wish that they had stuck to the book's storyline, because then at the end of the show, the queen asks Edwina, have you met my nephew who is a prince? And I was like, now reading what Edwina really wanted in the book, I'm like, no, don't introduce her to the prince. No, don't do that. So yeah, not a bad show, an awesome book. Very much enjoyed it. And if you're looking for an easy, fun read, the Bridgerton series is definitely it. Happy reading.